With today being the last day of school, well, at least for my school it was, I'm a teacher, I found it interesting that I came across this story because this, of course, happened in Texas. HISD, for those of you who are not from Texas, that is Houston Independent School District. So that's like the next district over from where I am. The title is what caught my attention. The fact that this man does not have to register as a sex offender. The title says school cop who received oral sex from a child won't have to register as a sex offender. I'm going to read the story just to give y'all a bit of an idea of what's going on. A Houston Independent School District police officer admitted in court on Wednesday to having an improper relationship with a 14-year-old student while employed at Cullen Middle School in 2015. Jacob Ryan Delgadillo, 30, entered the plea as a part of a deal that allows him to get off with only 5 years probation and will not require him to register as a sex offender. If he completes his probation without incident, Delgadillo will not show a conviction on his record. Should he violate the terms of his parole within the 5-year period, his deal will be gone and he could face the full 20 years in prison. Really? Because I was under the impression that if you have sex with a minor, you are to go to prison. But I guess since he's a police officer, that does not apply to him. And not only that, I'm assuming by his last name that he is Hispanic, though he looks more so white, that this conviction does not apply to him. The rest of the article. Now, this is an opinion piece. It says, is this what happens when you sexually assault a child as a police officer? You get a slap on the hand and get to carry on with your life? What about the girl? She certainly won't be able to just forget about this incident and move on with her life. Her childhood is over, and you can bet that if Delgadillo had been a teacher or custodian working at the school and committed the same crime, he would have been tarred, feathered, and thrown in prison. That is actually true, but more so if he was black. Now, if he was a black police officer, like the police officer standing next to him, this could have gone a very different way. But because he looks pink and almost white, it doesn't affect him. He gets a slap on the hand. Twitter users quickly responded with outrage to the deal, asking what kind of judge in their right mind would agree to such a thing. What kind of shitty prosecutor offers this kind of plea, and what kind of judge allows it? That's from a Twitter user. Another one says, Brian J. Rogers, Houston District Judge Mark Carter sets up future kids to be abused by this cop, which is true. Because, I mean, he's sitting here on probation, so he's only on probation for 5 years. So after his 5-year probation, what do you think he's going to do? Prey on more young girls. Now, I'm not saying that this girl was at fault, but being a teacher myself, and even before I was a teacher, there are a lot of young girls who act like grown adults. Like that one girl, that Cash Me Outside little girl. She's only 14. And if you look at her Instagram and all of her social media, you would never think that she was 14 years old, the way she carries herself and the way she acts. Now, I'm not downplaying this young girl. I don't know who she is, and I don't know what she looks like or anything like that. And I'm not saying that it's her fault for him to have imposed himself upon her. However, sometimes I think that parents need to step in and be more involved in their child's life so things like this don't happen. Because for him to be, an HISD police officer, how did he have that much access to a student to where that they could have sexual activities? That's what I want to know. How did no one notice this? Her parents, her friends, any of the other school administrators, how did they not know that this was going on? It makes me question, what HISD has going on. This horrible excuse for a police officer was originally charged with 2 counts of felony indecency with a child after the girl claimed that he had performed oral sex on him and showed her naked pictures of himself. He faced 20 years in prison and a life as a registered sex offender and convicted felon. Those charges were dismissed as a part of the plea. Instead, he can't be in law enforcement anymore and can't have any contact with minors for the next 5 years. And the last line of this article says, after that, they're fair game, which was what I was about to say. You know, like I said, after those 5 years, who's to say that he won't do this again? And the thing is, like, if y'all don't know, this happens a lot in Houston. It happens so often in Houston and in Texas, period. With these, not only, you know, just police officers, but with teachers, with people, anyone who works in a school. And it's not just male staff, it's also female staff who are getting involved with these children. And it's like, what the hell is going on in your mind to think that it is okay to get involved with a minor? You can't find somebody your own age to fuck with? You can't find anybody your own age to mess with. You have to sit here and go and mess with a little girl. Just because you're there 8 hours a day doesn't mean shit. Just because you see this child every day doesn't mean shit. Yes, I understand you spend more time at school than you do at home or outside of school or whatever the hell else you do when you're not at work. But lay off the children. That is not what you are there for. You're a police officer. You're there. You're supposed to protect and serve the children. Not have sexual relationships with any of them. That's not what you're there for. And the fact that he got nothing but a slap on the wrist, I'm going to put him in the white privilege category because he looks white. And he got the same treatment as these other white men who have been raping and molesting girls. The fact that he's getting away with this. So after those 5 years, then what? Does he still get to keep his job? Because it doesn't say anything about his job. I mean, granted, yes, for those 5 years of probation, he has to stay away from minors, so I'm going to assume that he's not going to be working at the school anymore. But after that, are they going to allow him to work there? Let me know what y'all think in the comments, and I'll talk to you in the next video.